Good evening, geographers, and welcome to tonight's live stream on YouTube, ready for Geography AQA Paper 2 on the 3rd of June. 3 days. This Wednesday is Paper 2 in the afternoon before the maths exam. That is crazy, isn't it? Absolutely on the same day as the maths exam. They just don't help you out, do they? But anyway, I'm here to help. So if this is the only video you watch for Paper 2, I reckon I'm going to get you a real good advantage here. This is going to have the sheets for Paper 2, how to get ahead, how to kind of apply the top geography to each of your answers that you're going to give in your exam this time. Now, whilst we're here, do me a massive favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that hype, share the content across YouTube to all those other geographers that might want to see it as well. Yeah, absolutely. How you doing? Hope you're all well. We're going to get started literally in around about 2 minutes. Let's have a sip of tea. How is everybody? Say hello in the chat. Who is with us tonight? Also, I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow. This is a bit of an impromptu one. So I always do a live stream the night before the exam. So I will be on live stream tomorrow night. Join us if you can, if you're available. Any questions for Paper 2, you can ask them at the Q&A tomorrow night, live on YouTube. We can go through some possible things that you want to go through, things that we think might be on the exam, all ready for Paper 2 on the Wednesday. So, yeah, don't want to miss that as well. So what am I going to do tonight? I'm going to go through the mind of a geographer. So things that will come up in Paper 2 that you can talk about, and the things that might come up in many of your answers that you can kind of use to answer many questions in Paper 2. You can apply these things pretty much to any scenario. So there's this concept that in geography, you have to learn and remember a lot of knowledge, which is kind of true with case studies, but you've got to be able to think like a geographer. And tonight's live stream is how do I think like a human geographer so I can pass this exam and get a grade 9. That is the idea. So I'm going to show you how to do that, all the tips and all the cheats. And obviously from here, then you can apply it to your answers. Right, who have we got? We've got Tay. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, Tay. And we've got Corey as well. Good to see you. We've also got Fred. Excellent. And we've got Mr. Chompy. Good to see you guys. Regulars in the chat. Hi, sir, backwards. That took me a while to read. Very good. Oh, dear. It threw me that. I was like, what the heck? He's written it back. How did you write it backwards anyway? I don't know. Mr. Chompy is Cody. Yes, Mr. Chompy. Hey, Cody. I always forget the YouTube names and the YouTube tags. I don't know who is who. So I do get mixed up with who is who, unless your name is on there. Yeah, Cody is here. Okay, let's get straight onto this video then. I'm just going to share my screen. Again, grab your piece of paper, grab your revision notes. How to pass Paper 2 on Wednesday. Okay. So I'm going to call this Thinking Like a Geographer Paper 2. We're going to put that in the middle. Thinking like a geographer. Paper 2. Can't see. 3rd of June. And I'm going to put in brackets cheat sheets, because this is basically a cheat sheet that can be applied to all human geography questions. So learn this stuff, and then you can apply it to pretty much any human geography question. So I've got that right in the middle of my sheet there. Okay. Right. I'm going to start with social geography. So many aspects of urban issues, economic world, and resources linked to social issues. So we're going to put here social geography. And in social geography, it is linked to quality of life. So social geography is all about people's quality of life. That's a phrase, quality of life. That's a phrase that we use in geography. It's linked to development. So as a country develops, it improves the quality of life for people, okay? So quality of life is about the development of countries. The development of countries. So as a country develops from a HIC to a NE to an LIC, the quality of life for the people improves. Things get better for those people. To measure quality of life, you might use the Human Development Index. The Human Development Index is a good measure of quality of life. Yeah, it's United Nations measure for, oops, sorry guys. There you go. It's called the Human Development Index, or the HDI. Let me just focus you in. Okay. So this is how we measure countries. HDI. It's a United Nations measure, and it includes 3 factors. It includes GNI. Oh, I've put the wrong thing here. I'm going to put GDP. Sorry, guys. GNI per capita. So that's how much money each person would own. That's measured in dollars. It includes years of schooling. Yeah, how many years of schooling you've had. And it also includes life expectancy. What is the average life expectancy of that particular country? So these are main measures of quality of life. So wealth, GNI per capita, how much money each person has. Years of schooling obviously measures education levels, and then life expectancy is also a great one there. So Human Development Index is how good your quality of life is. Okay. And we've got a number of countries. Let's pick out a few countries. So most of them with high quality of life usually are European countries. High quality of life, or HDI, usually around 0.95 or above. And these are countries like, in first place, we've got Iceland. Again, so I said many of them are European that are at the top here. And second is Norway. In fact, many of them are in Scandinavia. So quality of life is measured using the Human Development Index, and high quality of life is normally anything above 0.95. It goes from 0 to 1. And then low quality of life can be anything around. So a low quality of life, or a low HDI, is normally around 0.35, somewhere around there, some of the lowest. And some of the lowest are, you've got South Sudan at the very bottom, ranked 196th, basically. South Sudan, and also you've got Niger as well. 2 countries that are very low in terms of quality of life. So there you go. That's how we measure quality of life. This is social geography. So this is all to do with people's lives. And when you see the word social geography, I want you to think of 2 things in particular. Okay, 2 main things. Number 1 is going to be education. So this can be applied to cities, urban issues. It can be applied to economic world, anything to do with social geography. Think about education. Okay, really important factor is how well educated a population is. Obviously, that is a key factor of success in a country. So education links to quality of life in many ways. Okay, so educated people are, 1, they have improved literacy rates. So countries where children go to school, learning a language, learning how to write and read, improve their literacy skills as well, which is very important in terms of getting a job. Okay, if you can read and write, that improves the literacy rates in a country. Also, with education, you can improve the skill level of your population. So here we've got improved skills and productivity. So educated people will be able to do more in terms of work and different types of jobs, like working in law, working as a doctor, working in nursing, working as an engineer. If you've got education in your country and education levels are high, then you can, let's draw an apple. Education levels are high, then you're going to have more skills. And more skills means that the country is going to make more money from its industry. So we can increase the productivity. That's like a wheel, basically. The increased productivity of your country's economy. And which is what I'm going to put next. I'm going to put here, reason why countries focus on education is you're going to have economic growth. Yeah. Basically, more skilled and talented workers. Talented workers. So when you see the word social, you should always think of education. It's a really important factor in social geography. Talk about education and how education will be affected or impacted by whatever you're learning about. Okay. In some scenarios, you might say that education has been negatively impacted, or you might say that education has been positively impacted. But education is a fundamental part of social geography. You must mention education in your answers. Okay. Let's add the other fundamental factor for social geography, which I'm going to put over here. Education, and then the other one is healthcare. Yeah. You will find yourself in paper 2 writing about healthcare, illness, disease, factors that affect healthcare. It kind of links to social geography, and it's very, very important. Successful places have good healthcare. Places like the UK, and less successful places have significantly problematic healthcare or lack of healthcare. Okay, so what we're talking about when we talk about healthcare, we're talking about the quality of healthcare services. So how good are the hospitals? Quality of healthcare services. So we're talking about things like access to medicine, access to medicines in here, access to things like hospitals and things like that, and the quality of that as well. Okay, so when you're doing your human geography paper, you might refer to healthcare as being a negative, a challenge, because people can't have access to healthcare. They can't access doctors. They can't access a suitable hospital, which obviously creates problems. Obviously, anything to do with healthcare is also linked to disease and illness. Diseases and illness you can talk about in this section. So when we talk about water, we often talk about things like waterborne diseases. Waterborne diseases, such as things like cholera. Yeah. So anything to do with illnesses, people lack water, lack access to clean water. You can talk about disease or waterborne diseases such as cholera is a good example for there. So you've got, that's all under the healthcare umbrella. We're going to talk about measuring healthcare, measuring the quality of healthcare of a country. So there are a few ways in which you can measure healthcare. One is life expectancy. If people live a long life, you can probably assume that they're getting very good healthcare provision. So if people are living 80 years or more, like they are in Japan, then they are probably receiving very good healthcare. The other one is things like infant mortality. This one is a very sad one. This is the number of children that die before the age of 1 for every 1,000 people. So if infant mortality rates are high, then probably the healthcare services, in particular maternal healthcare, maternity caring for children, is probably not as good. And the other one could be people per doctor. Yeah, so people per doctor. That's the number of people for every doctor in a country. Again, if the healthcare services are not good, then you would have a lot of people for every doctor. It'd be very difficult to see a doctor because they're so busy. Okay, so these are ways in which we can measure the quality of healthcare in countries, health provisions. So healthcare is a key factor in terms of social geography, and it's really important that people get access to good quality healthcare. Okay, why is good quality healthcare important? Because if people are fit and well, if people are fit, well, and healthy, or healthy population, they are going to be more productive in the economy. Yes, they will be able to go to school, they can attend school, get their education, which we talked about already. They can attend school, and also they can be productive at work. Productive at work, which is good for the economy. Yeah, so if you've got a fit and healthy and active population, that will actually help with the economy. The country will be wealthier, and it will mean that more work gets done and increase the country's economy. And what we mean by that is it's going to increase its GNI. Yeah, it's going to increase its gross national income. So healthcare is really important to a country's government and to its people because it helps it to be more productive and earns and make more money, basically. But also, children can attend school and not have days off because of illness. Okay, there are a couple more things I want to talk about in social geography. So if it comes up with social geography, education and health care are massive. You'll talk about those quite a lot in paper 2. The importance of education, the importance of healthcare comes up often. Okay. Let's talk about 2 other things in social geography. If people are not getting those things, they may migrate. So migration is a big factor in social geography. Yeah. And why do people migrate? Usually for economic reasons. Economic reasons. Yeah. That's the number one factor why people move places, usually to find work. To find work or employment. Same thing, yeah. So the main reason why people move is because they want to find work, they want to find a job, and where they live is not providing them with the job opportunities that they wanted. They want to make money, basically. The other reason why people migrate, the main reason, is usually because of access to services. Yeah. I want to be near a good school. I want to access a good school. Okay. I want to be nearer to a city, nearer to urban areas, such as, let's say, Mumbai, for the sake of arguments. Mumbai in India. I want to be nearer to the center of Mumbai because there's access to shops, businesses, services, and my life will be better. My quality of life will be better if I'm closer to a particular place or area. Okay. Just because of going back to economic reasons, these are called economic migrants. So people move to different areas of a country or different countries because of the demand for work and economic migration. Okay, last bit of social geography is, I'm going to just put it down here. We're going to talk about community. Yeah, community, being part of a community is very much social geography. You'll talk about communities within your paper 2. What does community mean? It means a sense of belonging, either kind of religious belonging, language belonging, okay, or you've got place memories there, belonging and attachment. To a place, okay, which in terms of belonging, this is called community cohesion. When you belong somewhere and the community is close-knit, called close-knit, they work together, it's called community cohesion. That's where, that might be a phrase that you might be able to get in. This is where people live together in kind of harmony. They support each other. They might have groups that they all attend, like neighborhood watch, litter picking groups, mother and baby groups. There's a community cohesion around that particular place. But sense of community is really important, and that all links to well-being. Yeah, physical well-being and mental well-being. If you are happy with where you live, you are going to be happier in yourself. Well-being is really important in social geography. All links to your quality of life. So if I just zoom out there, that is social geography. So anything to do with social geography, we go to the big hitters. We talk about education. We talk about healthcare. They are the first things we always talk about, how education's impacted and how healthcare is impacted in that particular place or scenario. Then we might mention things like people moving, movement of people. Migration is the movement of people. Movement of people. And we might talk about community and the sense of community. Okay. Right. Let's go down to economics. So how do geographers think about economics? It's the same things that come up all the time in economics as well. So when you see the word economics, or you want to talk about economic geography, you need to think about two major things: money and jobs. Okay. So when it says economic, you talk about money, you talk about wealth. That's what we mean by money. We mean the wealth of a place. And when we talk about economics, we talk about jobs and different types of jobs and how jobs help improve the area. So like social, when social comes up, we talk about education and healthcare. Always talk about education and healthcare. They're the kind of the key factors. We might talk about migration and community, things like that as well. But when economics comes up, we always talk about money and jobs. Okay, so money and jobs is always a key factor of economic geography. So in terms of money, we could talk about the wealth of areas. So we have the development, what is it, continuum. Yeah, we have the development continuum. Of countries or places. The development continuum is LIC, NEE countries, and high-income countries. So high-income countries, low-income countries, and newly emerging economies. Remember, for your newly emerging economies, remember the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. So this is the development continuum. As countries get better, as they improve, so does quality of life. Okay. So as countries move up this scale, their quality of life improves over time. And that's one key thing that we talk about in terms of wealth. Other things we can talk about here in terms of wealth, you might want to talk about things like gross national income or wealth. So you have gross national income, which is overall wealth of an area, overall wealth, including goods and services. Yeah. Goods and services. And this is measured in dollars. Okay. So gross national income is the overall wealth of a country or an area based on goods and services. Okay. It's one of the main measures of wealth. We also have gross national income per capita as well, which is another measure of wealth. So gross national income per capita means the wealth of the goods and services divided by the population. So per capita means divided by the population. Right, let's have a look at money and other things that's linked to money. So other things that you might link to money are things like resources. Okay. In particular, oil or energy resources can create wealth, or if countries haven't got that resource, they might impact their wealth as well. But resources are a massive factor in terms of wealth. In terms of wealth as well, we can talk about things like costs of goods in a place or area. So things like the cost of food, maybe energy bills, or housing. If you're talking about London, the economic aspects of London, then you might talk about things like house prices might come up in that area. So you can talk about things like, if you're talking about money, you might talk about the costs of goods in that section. Food, energy, housing, they're quite common things that people talk about. Last one for wealth, which is to do with wealth creation. Let's put that in, wealth creation. Is businesses and trade. Business/trade between countries. Okay, this actually creates wealth for a country. This is what links to growing a country's GNI. Okay, so the wealth of a country will increase if there is more business and more trade, and this links to things like imports of goods and exports of goods. So countries that are trying to become wealthier will trade, and they will import and export goods. They buy and sell goods from other countries, which is really important. And businesses are really important because they create profit. Okay, and that can add to, so if a business is making lots of profit, that can actually add to a country's taxes. I'm going to talk more about taxes in a minute because taxes are really important for countries. Now, I hate paying tax. Your parents hate paying tax, but every bit of tax money that comes in helps to develop a country. It's a way in which governments can improve the country's infrastructure, roads, rail, internet, hospitals, and education. So going back to social geography, if you want better hospitals, if you want better education in schools, you've got to do that through taxation. The money for governments comes from taxation. Okay, right. Let's talk more about jobs. So jobs are an important part of the economy of any country. Everybody's got to be working between the ages of 16 and 65. In some countries, they don't have laws on the age. So, they have to just work from such a young age. It's crazy. Anyway, so jobs are really important part of the economy, and there are different parts of jobs, different types of economic structure. So let's talk about the economic structure. I'll put it here, economic structure of a place, economic structure. So we've got sector 1, which is primary jobs, working with the Earth's raw materials, extracting raw materials, mining, fishing, farming, agriculture, forestry, those types of jobs. Number 2, secondary jobs, making products from the raw materials. So making cars, making houses, building homes, making food in a kitchen. Secondary jobs is making products. Number 3, in terms of jobs, is tertiary jobs. Tertiary jobs links to providing a service. They often sell the things that are here in the secondary. They sell products. It's service providers. So teaching, education, healthcare, doctors, nurses, lawyers, things like that are all tertiary. And then the last one of the economic structure of countries is quaternary. quaternary jobs, which is things like research, innovation, design, okay, the knowledge-based economy, trying to sell information as well as part of the quaternary jobs. And generally, as countries develop, they move down this profile. So this is a part of development. For those geeky geographers, this is linked to Rostow's model. As countries become wealthier, they change their economic structure. LICs rely on agriculture and fishing and farming. NEEs rely on secondary jobs. China relies a lot on manufacturing. And then HICs rely on tertiary jobs and quaternary, such as the UK. So economic structure is really important to this area of geography. Right, the biggie, the big bit. If you ever mention the word jobs in your geography exam, you must talk about the multiplier effect. Get this in your exam and you will be going up those mark schemes, and that grade 9 will be getting so much higher. Here is the multiplier effect, okay? So if you mention jobs, mention the multiplier effect. This is a must, in geography. What does it mean? Well, multiplier effect means you get new jobs in an area. This increases spending. So people have got a job, people spend more money. This increases taxes for government. Okay, so people have got a job, people spend more money. This increases more taxes. The more things you buy and the more money you earn as a job, you're going to pay more tax. It's terrible, but every car, every house, everything you buy is taxed, which means the government gets more tax. They love it. It's good for them, which then means the government spends more money on the country. So increased government investment. Increased government investment. I have to write really small here. Increased government investment could be in things like schools and hospitals, because we talked about them in the first part of today's video. They are absolutely fundamental. So if the government's got more money, they can invest it in schools and hospitals, which then also can create new jobs in the area. They might create new industry as well. The government has money to pump into new industry, which then can create new jobs. This is the most important thing in human geography, especially when you talk about economics, you're talking about jobs. So when you're talking about things like Jamaica and tourism, talk about the multiplier effect. New jobs means more spending, means more taxes, means increased investment for the country. It means new industry. Wow. Must get this in. It's a big plus. Everything improves. The whole country improves. This accelerates development. The multiplier effect accelerates the development of countries, which is absolutely critical. Acceleration of development through the multiplier effect. There is one negative that you might want to talk about, which is the problems here. In many economies, especially in the richer Western world, we get in things like deindustrialization. Deindustrialization, which is something in the economy that you might want to talk about. And this is the closure of manufacturing. This is the closure of factories, basically. It's a really negative thing. And many countries in the Western world, Germany, the UK, Japan, are facing deindustrialization. Factories are closing. They're moving towards China. They're moving towards Indonesia and Pakistan and India because of cheaper labor. This leads to the spiral of decline. Again, it's the opposite of the multiplier effect. Less jobs, less spending, less taxes, less investment, and it leads to a problem. So this is the reverse of the multiplier effect. Reverse of multiplier. Yeah. Spiral of decline. So places in the north of England where there's been massive deindustrialization, there's been a huge amount of spiral of decline in certain areas, such as Blackpool, those sort of things. Right. Last but not least, which is probably the easiest section, is once you've done economics, which is mainly jobs and money and how those things build, over here, we're going to talk about environmental geography. I've got a little bit of space. So any question that relates to the environment, these are hot things that you could talk about in terms of the environment. I'm not going to go into as much detail on these ones because these are areas of geography that people are generally quite comfortable with. So when we talk about environmental geography, we can talk about pollution. Yeah, we can talk about pollution, and there's large amounts of pollution. There's things like noise pollution. Yeah. So you get things like noise pollution from things like quarrying. That could be an example of noise pollution. We get water pollution from industry, from agricultural runoff, chemicals from farms running off into the water. Things like an oil spill. If you're doing Nigeria and you're doing Shell oil spills lead to water pollution. What else? We've got atmospheric pollution. Atmospheric pollution. Okay. Atmosphere, things like smoke in the air, things like that, car emissions, atmospheric pollution. Pollution limits access to resources. If things are polluted, you can't use those things as much. So if the water's polluted, it lowers the access to water. So it limits access to resources. So that's a negative for the economy. It's a negative for social because people can't use the water. People can't breathe the air because it impacts on things like health. So again, limits access to resources and impacts health, which then means that people can't go to school, impacts the economy because people are not working. So these are all negative aspects of there. So pollution is a big one for environment. Other things we've got linked to atmospheric pollution, climate change. Yes, climate change is warming up. We had the May half-term records broken, 35-degree temperatures in England. Climate change is caused by atmospheric pollution and things like greenhouse gases. So these are all aspects of pollution that you can talk about in your geography paper 2 exam. A big one that you'll probably definitely mention is habitat loss. So usually most things that humans do leads to a loss of habitat, a loss of hedgerows, a loss of forestry. This one you will definitely talk about in your geography exam, paper 2. There'll be things in there that mean you end up talking about habitat loss because of what people are doing and how they impact it. So if you're talking about tourism in Jamaica, again, you might talk about the loss of habitats to build new hotels, to build new roads and infrastructure, airports and things. That's going to be a negative impact. And that leads to species decline. So if species do not have somewhere to live because of human development, you're going to have species decline. Okay. And also things like disruption to the ecosystem. So animals are going to die, plants are going to die, and that is something that you'll definitely talk about perhaps in paper 2, habitat loss or species decline. If you're talking about sustainable cities, things like Freiburg, you might talk about how we've encouraged habitat through green spaces or parks and gardens and things like that. But habitat is a big part of environmental geography. You will definitely talk about habitats in your exam. Other natural things that you might want to talk about is things like soil erosion, loss of nutrient-rich soils. Yeah, it's really bad, often caused by things like desertification. Let's put that on there. Winds and heat and drying out of the desert areas, semi-desert areas, causes desertification, which can lead to soil erosion, or things like deforestation can lead to soil erosion, which then can lead to things like lack of agriculture / food production. Yeah, if you've got soil erosion, you're going to impact your food productions, you're going to impact your yields, how much crops you can grow. Oops, sorry guys. How much crops you can grow, how many plants will grow, will impact that area as well. Just checking with my little list here. We've got that one, got water pollution, water quality. Okay, the last one that you might want to talk about here in the environment is flood risk. So something might increase the risk of flooding, or it might decrease the risk of flooding, depending on what you are looking at, what issue you're talking about. Some places might have a higher flood risk, but that is very much environmental geography as well. Okay, so soils, air, pollution, habitats, and flood risk. Right, the last little thing, but it's probably one of the most important, is sustainability. This is a word that you must talk about in paper 2, sustainability, which links to protecting the world for future generations, basically. So sustainability is something that we always link to. If things are going well and people are doing the right thing, we say it's sustainable. And if things are not going so well and we're damaging the planet, it is unsustainable. So it's about protecting and conserving the earth for future generations. That's what it's about. So whatever we're doing, we're conserving the water, we are protecting the forests, we are looking after the air, so that our future generations can breathe on a happy planet, basically, which is fantastic. So environmental things come up, talk about pollution levels, talk about climate change, talk about things like desertification, deforestation, habitat loss, and sustainability. Always in that environmental section is really important. So we're going to wrap up the little video there, but look at that now. That is the things that are fundamental to paper 2. This is the cheat sheet. Okay. Also, obviously, with your case studies as well, you can add to these with your case study details. But the fundamentals of social geography, the fundamentals of economic geography, and environmental geography, all on one page. Make sure you revise this stuff, guys. Make sure you know this for your paper 2. And you'll be talking about all of these things in paper 2. You'll be talking about healthcare and education, maybe migration. You'll be talking about jobs and money. And you'll be talking about the environment numerous times for many of the questions and many of the answers. Learn this and you can apply it to almost all human geography questions. Not all of it. Be selective, but pretty much all of this can be applied to any human geography question. And you get lots of marks. Add a case study and you've got the grade 9. Right, so I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for everybody in the chat. And please like, please share, please subscribe, hit that notification bell. And we are back tomorrow for a Q&A on paper 2, ready for the exam on Wednesday. Please join us for that one, guys. It will be a busy one in the chat. I'm sure you can join us for that. It'll be fantastic. But for now, enjoy. Good luck with your exam. Good luck with that paper 2. And this is really going to help you smash pretty much any human geography question. Bye-bye for now. See you tomorrow.